Ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited about this one here, this afternoon or tonight, depending on where you are, because our guest returns to Sportswire Radio for the first time in almost 2 full calendar years. And boy, a lot has changed. Most importantly, what has changed is he's got one of the most prettiest pieces of gold I've ever seen in my 6+ years in doing this, because he has got that Odyssey Pro Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship right there on his shoulder. And if you know anything about this platform, Odyssey Pro Wrestling has been talked about here pretty much since day one. And if you know anything about anything in wrestling, and especially in Morecambe, that prize is one of the most valued prizes in all of wrestling. In its history, it's had a lineage of a who's who of some of the greatest that have ever stepped foot in our ring. And this man, he is now no longer deniable. He's undeniable. He's undeniable and he's unforgettable because he made history 2 weeks ago at the Odyssey Pro Wrestling's most recent show where he won that Odyssey Pro Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship. We're going to talk about that historic moment. We're going to talk about what's next here. We have a huge show coming up here, 20th anniversary in Morecambe for wrestling, War on the Shore, and he's going to be defending it against a man that, well, he was supposed to have wrestled one-on-one, and we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about some other familiar faces that have been on here recently, and I've got a surprise for our guest that he doesn't even know anything about. You know, I have had our guest on here time after time throughout the years, but this one's going to be a little different. Although one thing that hasn't changed, he's still got the bottle, but in this case, he's drinking it because he's been celebrating here for day after day. And now we're going to get a chance to celebrate him on a platform that he most certainly helped build here. Sportswire Radio with over 1,400 subscribers and, of course, had two of those magical moments with the Man Beast, the War Machine Rhino, and Savio Vega, who apparently was responsible for some guy, Stone Cold Steve Austin. But this guest here, our champion, in many ways, he's responsible for this guy's career and this platform being what it is. So, ladies and gentlemen, since he hasn't heard this in almost 2 years, you're waiting for it. He's waiting for it. And I think the intro is a lot better since the last time he's heard it, because maybe understandably so, it was kind of a forgettable introduction. But now, it's not going to be forgettable. It's going to be unforgettable, and we are undeniably honored to have our guest here on Sportswire Radio, the #1 global radio station. So let's get this show on the road here in style. So with that, without further ado, here on the Sports Report, the #1 global sports show. A man that is now undeniably the reigning, defending Odyssey Pro Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion of the World. His name is simply put, the champ is here, my friend. How are we doing? And congratulations.
Well, that was an introduction. Yeah, you earn your money, Tom. You earn your money.
Well, you've seen these introductions. My mic
100 points for effort. Your mic is, you put that thing through the walls. bro.
Well, you know how many USB cables I've went through just since your last appearance? Probably about
I don't
100.
know. Do you pay more on those than you do rent? My God.
You know what? I would say, luckily, my bank account has a lot of zeros in there, so it's okay. But I probably went through, no joke, and this one's going to be going after this interview for sure, because we'll get through it. But I probably went through about 150 USBs, I'd probably say, since your last appearance. I would say it's probably close to it, I would have to say. I mean, it's a lot. I go through them like every 2 weeks, it seems like.
So environmentally irresponsible.
I'm irresponsible. I'm more irresponsible rather than responsible. But you know that firsthand because you've been coming on here for 4 years. But obviously, there's a lot to talk about here, and we're going to certainly do that because we're in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the platform that you most certainly helped build. But let's start it off here, nice and simple. So for those that are listening and watching here in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the platform that you at Odyssey Pro Wrestling most certainly helped build, Andre Dekker. Talk about what it means to you to now be the brand new Odyssey Pro Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion.
Well, certainly champion of Morecambe. Anyway, it means everything. It really does. It means everything. And, I've come here before ranting and screaming and in a bad mood. And,
mostly at me most of the time over the years.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm only human.
Don't worry. Most of the wrestlers since your last appearance would probably have agreed with you most of the time. So don't feel too bad.
I can imagine. Yeah. But the reason that is because it's taken everything I've got in me to get to this position. Mm-hmm. This was never meant for me, ever. And I've been having to prove it over and over again that I deserve to be on top in Morecambe. And it's something when I first stepped into wrestling training school I wanted. And I've said it in other interviews, I've said it before. Morecambe's the first place I've wrestled. I've had opportunities to wrestle other places that I've loved. But Morecambe, to me, is the place. This championship, and, I don't want to know how many in the northwest of England alone there are. There's plenty of championships out there. But to me, the Odyssey Pro Wrestling Championship is the championship. And I'm proud to be able to hold it. I'm proud to have this in my home. And I'm proud to be able to call myself the Odyssey Pro Wrestling Champion. It's, people might say what they want, but to me, this is everything. It means the absolute world to me. And I have no intention of giving it up anytime soon. This is staying with me for
you shouldn't, especially after your journey.
The law out of my dead hands, honestly.
Well, your journey, but yeah, it's funny that you talk about that because the history that Morecambe has in wrestling, it's different in Morecambe. We saw the crowd at the Overboard Rumble show. We saw 250 plus screaming people. In Morecambe, it just hits differently. I've known you a long time. I've been covering independent wrestling in this country here in the UK for a long time. And it's just different here. And I think to have this championship with the lineage of it and what you've went through, going back now almost 10 years to that journey where, you start your career out wrestling Sam Gradwell, and it's well documented who this man was and what he's done in our sport around the world. But you never really had that opportunity until now. And I think this has got to show why you are undeniable. And that moment may have taken longer than it should have. But you know what? You seized that opportunity. To quote Sade, you seized the day. And now you're here. What I'm looking at right now is undeniably with the history itself. History speaks volumes when it comes to Morecambe. Johnny Storm, Ryan Hunter, RPD. You've seen, we're going to talk about those names, I'm sure, in a little while. A long list of people. Craig Collins, the man you're facing. I'm going to talk about those names. But right now, what I'm looking at right now, for those that are listening and watching here on Sportzwire Radio, Andre Dekker I'm looking at maybe the greatest champion in Morecambe's history because of what you are, what you've done. And I don't think there's anybody that's going to pry that championship away from you. And I think I'm looking at maybe the greatest champion in Morecambe wrestling history.
Look, having this championship means I'm the champion today. And that's what I've been fighting and clawing for. What determines whether that statement is true or not is the next show. It's the show after that. It's a show after that. It's a show after that. There's been so many great champions in Morecambe, so many veterans in wrestling that so many people look up to. And people I've been able, luckily enough, been able to wrestle people who I would dream to wrestle. And I have a lot to live up to with this championship. And, I'm coming here a lot more humble than you've seen me before because I understand that this is a lot of responsibility. It's a big responsibility.
Absolutely.
And it's one thing getting there, and it's took me a long time to get there. But it's another thing to hold it, and it's another thing to retain it. It's another thing to be a fighting champion and stay a fighting champion. And that starts at War on the Shore, and I've not been told confirmed. But it's looking like it's going to be Craig Collins. He has a problem with the fact that we were due to have a number one contenders match at Overboard, and that got changed into a title match, which was a triple threat. And yes, I got the win, but not over Craig Collins. And I've never beat Craig Collins in Morecambe. We've wrestled many times, and
we've talked about it here over the years. I've seen the match cards. I've talked about them with you.
Yeah, exactly. And nearly every time it doesn't come up in my favor. But that was me then. This is me now. This is me as a champion. This is me knowing everything I need to know to beat Craig Collins. This is me with a lot more to fight for. This is me understanding that what's on the line is everything I've ever done. Because that's what this represents. This represents every win. This represents every loss. This represents every time I've had a match and gone to the back and someone said I'm not good enough. This represents Odyssey Pro Wrestling not wanting to bring me in.
But you were an afterthought. And it's funny you said that because I've known you since almost the ground up from Odyssey. This variation of Morecambe wrestling, I've seen it from day one. Spoke about it with Ricky, spoke about it with RPD. But you and your history in Morecambe, I go back to almost 4 years ago, sir, and that you weren't even granted a contract to work in this company. You've been this guy that's had to claw literally from not even working here. You were this guy in all these different variations with different people that don't work here anymore. And you were here and you were this side thought. You were this afterthought. You were this guy that Andre Dekker, world champion? Nah, he's just some guy that's the muscles. He's just this guy that stands there and does what he's told and makes sure somebody else looks better. Make sure somebody else looks good. Him to be a champion? Nah, that'll never happen. So that's got to, in a way, make you appreciate where you are today, because a lot of people, and going back from the very beginnings with Ethan Edwards, you would have never had a chance to be world champion. But yet here you are today, and that's got to make you appreciate that in a way.
Yeah, I understand. But then I know it's earned, and it's something that, at the end of the day, the cream rises to the top. You just got to stick around long enough. And that's what I did. I hung in there. At the end of the day, even that show, that main event was penciled in. It was meant to be Will Carter versus Teddy Ray. Now, Will Carter, I wish him all the best on a speedy recovery. And when he's back, if I'm still the champion, which I plan on still being the champion, he gets a shot whenever he wants it. When he's back and he's healthy, Andre Dekker versus Will Carter will be something that I'll be more than proud, and I'll be more than happy to give him that shot, because he did just like me. He clawed his way up. He was someone who wasn't meant to be meant to be the main event, and he broke free from the freak show. He earned it.
And you broke through with the spotlight. You were a huge part of that throughout these years, but you were always the guy that was just almost the side dish. You were the guy that was the guy in the background.
The enforcer.
Yeah, you were the background guy. You were the muscle. You were the guy that was to know your role, but you hung in. Was there ever a doubt or ever a time where you said to yourself, you know what? Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have my career. I'm going to be, I'm going to do things, but was there ever a doubt that you'd ever get to this level?
No.
Tell me why.
Look, I've always known what I can do, and it's always been my way. Everything in my life. It's never been gifted to me. It's never been the case that I've been the standout that's been figured in straight away. I've always been that one who turns up early, leaves late, is there every single week, is there every single show. I've not missed a single Odyssey show. And an opportunity will come. You just got to bide your time. You've got to wait. Not everyone has to wait, but I've had to. But for some people, it falls and you get the opportunities, and you get an opportunity after an opportunity after an opportunity. And for some people, it doesn't work out like that.
You didn't get those title shots, though, really. Yeah. Far and few between, especially in Morecambe. We wouldn't have known. I've known you a long time. You're not just coming on here and introducing yourself. I've had you on too many times to count. And you never were in this situation. You never got a moment, but you seized the opportunity and you proved everybody that you're a main event player that's going to hold this championship. And like I said, I think you're going to hold it for a very long time. And I think that you deserve to be up there with that lineage of Odyssey Pro Wrestling and Morecambe Wrestling champions. Before I do anything else, we're here on YouTube, and you got to go hit the sub for Odyssey. Last week and the week before, we got Odyssey some more subs. We're now past 150. If you're here, because I see a bunch of people here right now on YouTube, do me a favor. Hit that sub button for Odyssey Pro Wrestling. Also, if you're here on Instagram, do me a favor. Go out there and follow Andre Dekker. Give him a follow. We'll put his page up here in a few minutes. We have plenty to talk about here in the time that we're allotted. We are very honored to have the champ back on. Plus, I have something for him. Okay, we'll take this off the screen. I want to bring you back up in here. So let's talk about Craig Collins here for a minute again. You mentioned it. Craig Collins and you, one-on-one here, what you think is going to happen on April 12th. And that's a big test. They say all the time, not just in wrestling, could be anything, boxing, could be football around the world, that when a champion wins, that first defense is the toughest one because it's the first defense. You go from being the chaser to now the guy or the gal that's being chased. And that's you right now. And talk to me about what you think is ahead here in your first defense, if it is Craig Collins.
So Craig Collins is someone who I've wrestled many times, and I've mentioned before, for the most part, I've come up second in that contest. Let's call it that way. Craig Collins is what he says he is. He's the war machine, and he will attempt to run through me. He will suplex me multiple times. I know that. I know I'm in for a rough night. But again, my plan is to hang in there, because there will be an opportunity. There always is an opportunity. There will be a moment. And that's all I need is a moment. All I need is a moment. And I'll take advantage of that and I'll exploit it. I'll hit him with On the Rocks. I'll hit him with the pedigree. I'll take him out and I'll win. That's my plan. My plan is to hang in there because he will throw me about. He's a big boy. He can move. He can shift. But I'll hang in there and I'll kick out of everything he can throw at me. And he'll tire and he'll slip up. And that's all it takes.
It takes a lot. There's no question.
It takes a lot. It'll take a lot out of me. But once I've got that chance, and I'll see it and I'll seize it. And I've always done that from day one. It's never going to be the easy way. And I appreciate
you listen, you being champion, listen, with all due respect to the likes of RPD, RPD was here a few days ago, Ryan Hunter, again, they were right at a central casting to be a world champion. You, on the other hand, you have fought tooth and nail to be here. This is not like something where you were an anointed one, even to get the title, right? You weren't even supposed to be in this. For all we know, if things didn't happen the way they were, we don't know what we're talking about right now, but you have not had this journey, unlike some others that have represented either the Odyssey title or even a Morecambe championship, whether it's an Alpha Omega, which you were a part of, FWA, XWA. So there's no question that it's kind of fitting that you would have this match against a Craig Collins, because there is no champion, I think, in the history of Morecambe that is scratched and clawed like you.
Exactly. And you said it right. I wasn't supposed to be here, but still, I am here. And for some people, that's a surprise. For me, it's not. There's been other people in Morecambe Wrestling who did say they were taken aback, and they did say they were surprised by it. And I've known for a long time, this is my destiny and this is my goal. And this is everything I've wanted for, again, years. Since I went to the first show I ever saw in Morecambe, I was putting chairs out at a paid promotion show.
And you still give out, listen, unlike other champions that, I got to sit there and maybe fold my hands and show up right before bell time. No, you're out there in Morecambe. You're out there shaking hands. You're out there giving out posters. You're out there in the mall there. You're out there in the town square. You're right by Alhambra. You're there, and you're a man of the people. You're not like other champions that were basically saying, all right, you know what? Yeah, I'll show up at match time, and I'm the champion. I'm the one that puts butts in the seats. No, you are the complete opposite. That you are a true man of the people. Even when you've had certainly your complaints about my intros in the past or previous appearances here, you were always still here. You were always with the people, and you are the man of the people. And that's why you're here right now.
It's quite funny you'd say that, because, give it a year or two ago, people would say the opposite. And I don't think they knew everything that I did to make sure these shows were successful. And because this stage is the biggest, to make this stage the biggest stage possible for the best fan base possible.
Absolutely.
And you know what? When they booed me, I hated them, and they hated me. And we had that relationship where we knew that. We were very honest with each other, what we thought. They hated scratching and clawing and taking every opportunity isn't going to be always the clean way. And I'm not apologizing for that. I'm not saying, I'm sorry I did those things.
But there's no reason to, because it made you who you are, and that's why you're here right now. You're here with the team.
Exactly. And they hated that. They hated the fact that I scratched and clawed my way in. They hated the fact that I decided to join the spotlight. They hated the fact that when RPD was rolled out the red carpet, I spoiled his party. They hated all of those things. And, RPD, as much as I respect him, he was rolled out the red carpet. So I had to do what I had to do.
Ryan Hunter was Morecambe's John Cena. I mean, let's go down the list of names. Johnny Storm. Don't even have to go without saying. Maybe is arguably the greatest independent wrestler ever come out of, of this area. You think about the other names that have been, or a man that you wrestled at the very beginning, Sam Gradwell. We know his time in WWE. So you have not had it easy. You haven't been like these other people that have been born right out of central casting, maybe born ready, you might want to say. This is something that you grinded for. Yeah, well, I don't need some good words, but it's been a grind, man. It
has been. And sometimes that means the fans are going to boo me. And they did for a long time. And I appreciated that. And I didn't, I didn't take no heed to it. I didn't like it, but I understood that they didn't understand. I understood that they didn't get the fact that I was doing what I had to do because I had to.
Right.
now I'm here, and I think they've seen that. They've seen the journey. They've seen everything. They've seen the spotlight turn on me. They've seen me defeat Ryan Hunter, which I think was probably the turning point for me with them and for my career. Is
How
being
big
able,
was that, though? Your history, especially. How big was that for you to beat him?
yeah. So to give more context, so me and Ryan Hunter started at the same training school at the same time. So we started in Morecambe, and Ryan Hunter was a lot younger than me. Well, is a lot younger than me, and was a standout quite quickly. So he was a guy who was a trainee and was helping out a cameraman, and he was a kind of slightly out of shape teenager who lost loads of weight, got in the best shape of his life, and turned a lot of heads. And so on the back of that, he impressed, and he got a lot of opportunity for that. And as much as I was happy for him, I resented it a bit. Yeah, of course I did. And I compared myself to him for a long time, because when we were running side by side, he was always a little bit in front of me. And fans liked to remind me of that. Wrestlers reminded me of that. To be honest, he reminded me of that a few times. So it's something I've had to deal with a lot. And being able to get to the point where it was me and him one-on-one at War on the Shore in Morecambe, and I've been able to get the win. Clean as a whistle, fair and square, no arguments. And for him to acknowledge that and shake my hand, it meant a lot. It meant a lot to me. Mm-hmm. And whether Ryan Hunter comes back to wrestling or not,
that's his decision. You have to focus on
decision 100%. But it's something that I'd happily take that test again, because I think that's made me grow as a wrestler. That's made me grow as a competitor, and I'm ready to compete again with anyone on the roster. So Craig Collins hasn't wrestled me since this journey of the past couple of years. He hasn't wrestled me. He's wrestled me a long time ago now.
Yep.
And he hasn't wrestled me one-on-one since I've went through this growth, since I've become this guy.
Different you. It's not the same Andre Dekker, and it's not the same Andre Dekker from your last appearance on Sportswire Radio. No. And we have a lot of people here that want to talk to you. I want to get to them. Plus, I have a surprise for you. Plus, I want to talk about a couple of other names, and I see one of the names here, and I want to get your thoughts on that, because you've got that in the back of your mind. Zilla, who's always here, she's our resident super fan, wants to say hello to you. Yep, how you doing, Zilla? And it's all Wrestling Matters. And Zilla's one of the people that could win the raffle in Morecambe. I'm telling you, she could be right up there with Vicky Flynn and everybody else and Mother Sue, and she could definitely be a part of that. Thank you, Zilla. Zilla was here last night on the show in the video. Ed Pizzo, my buddy from Dooley.com, of course, a man that is trying to change the wrestling world as we know it, Dooley.com. Give them a plug. Jake Dvorak, another man that's changing the wrestling world as we know it, and he certainly he stapled one wrestler who I shall name. I met actually with the Cheetos bag, and that's Gabe Sayers. And his good afternoon, gentlemen. Certainly, Mr. KTA is here. Good to see him. How you doing there, Zilla? Dekker is in the house, and the Tribal Cheese, who was in your chair last week, said Dekker is in the house. Yeah, he's definitely in the house. The champ is here. Yeah, there he is. Hello there. Who else we have? Yep. Hello. Are you having Vanilla Kraken?
I am not having Vanilla Kraken. This is Lidl's finest.
Oh, wow.
So it's called Casaria, which is, there's this premium supermarket called Lidl that sells only high-end booze in the UK. And that's where I got it from.
Well, you know what, my premium.
It's a place you probably couldn't afford to go, Tom.
Actually, you know what? My bank account's probably just as big as yours. I do have a lot of zeros to my name, but my premium drink, which you're going to laugh at, which is why I won't be going there even with my zeros, is Mountain Dew, because I don't drink, period. just drink this. So
now that's probably wiser. Especially it's afternoon where you are anyway, isn't it?
Well, it's also there's a joke here about Mountain Dew, but I'm not going to repeat it on the air. I don't know if it's true or not, but we'll leave it at that. We're a family show, and Odyssey's family friendly. See, there you go, 2 for the price of 1. Yep, hello there. Nice to meet you. Yes, we're very happy to meet Mr. Dekker. My buddy who was here Friday and also yesterday, Mr. Darkron. How's it going? He said the title looks good on you. There is Mr. Darkron. What an inspirational journey this man has gone through. He's fought cancer, rib injuries, and wants to still wrestle, and just a great man. And Andre Dekker's a great man. Yep, hello there. Yep, he definitely does deserve it, and he deserves a follow on Instagram. So give him a follow, or else he won't come back to Sportswire. My buddy from Brooklyn, Mr. Barry Gutman. I haven't seen Barry in a while. I was asking about Barry yesterday, and here he is, the hardcore gamer. Good to see Barry. Give Odyssey a sub on YouTube. We're pushing those numbers up. I see little by little. Good. Let's do that. Barry, yep, I was asking about him. Yes, I was. And Dekker got a new follow. Ed gave you a follow as well. There you go. Boom, boom, boom. Yep, there we go. Yep, that's what we do. Thank you. Yep. But there's somebody else that does want to say something about you, who I think you'll probably know who this is when I bring him up, because he was here last week, and it's the natural born fighter R.P. Davis. I guess I should segue into that because, in a way, you're still intertwined with RPD because, as I'm sure you're aware of, Rick Marcus has a chance anytime over the next year to get his opportunity at that Odyssey Pro Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship. But instead of maybe, potentially looking to cash in that opportunity against you on April 12th, he's got a match with this man here, the natural born fighter, RP Davis. And the tables have turned. Oh my, because RPD now has put his career on the line here against Rick Marcus. And I was wondering from afar what your thoughts were on that.
Look, I'm trying to stay out of this love-hate relationship between they're in love, they break up, they fall back in love, they break up. I don't know. Look, it's not my business. Whether RPD is on the sofa and Rick's upstairs, or vice versa, or they come home and Rick comes home and his stuff's in bin bags out in the yard. I don't care. Look, the one thing I do understand is I need to keep my head on a swivel because I don't know when Rick Marcus wants to break, because I'm not sure whether he's putting his contract on the line. I'm not sure how that's going to work.
Right.
But because I know everything they've done, they've not really care about titles. They don't care about rankings. They don't care about any of that. Those two just hate each other at this point.
Oh, so, you know what? We talked about it. Rick was here before the Rumble, and I had RPD last week. And I mean, it's a history that's well documented. Some would say that Rick granted RPD these opportunities. Others would say Rick has been jealous of RPD and couldn't hang with them. It's just a whole yin and yang, and I don't blame you. I wouldn't get in the middle of it if I were you.
Dude, look, that what it is, and as much as I can't stand either of them, to be honest. They're two winners. And egos, two winners with massive egos, and they were never going to coexist forever. I could probably see it eventually. It was going to...
You said that, I'm almost certain you said that here years ago.
Of course. Look at them. Do you think that friendship is real? Look, there were competitors who was wanting to probably stay out of each other's way, so they formed this friendship. But then, as it's come to a head, all of a sudden, they've all deep down, niceties aside, I think they've always thought this about each other. They're both sharks. They're both sharks who think all the fish belong to them. That's what they are.
It's ego.
Yeah, 100% is ego, 100%. So, hopefully they beat each other black and blue, and hopefully that'll mean that because I've got a fight with Craig Collins, most likely. And I don't know what shape I'm going to be. Look, one thing I can tell you is I am going to make sure I retain this, but at what cost, I don't know. So hopefully.
But are you concerned though that you go into a war, figuratively and literally, on the shore with Craig Collins, and then let's say Rick has got the upper hand on RPD lately. Let's say Rick beats RPD again, and then Rick decides, you know what, I was up first, or maybe another time, or maybe he seizes that opportunity at any given point. Does that worry you at all?
I need to be aware of it. And I think at War on the Shore and Rick and RPD, because I've been in there with both of them, and
yes, you have.
No one's coming out 100%. Neither am I. No one's coming out 100%. And if Rick wins, he might want to come down and take this title, but I don't think he's going to be in good enough shape to win or lose. I don't think either of them are going to be in good.
But RPD has to be out of his mind right now, because RPD has not been able to get the better of Rick right now. Rick beat him months ago. Rick eliminated him in the Rumble. And now RPD is putting his career on the line. So, I mean, RPD, I don't know what he's thinking right now. I mean, you'd have to agree.
I mean, it's ego. It's not. I don't think he's thinking. He's just all up in his
that. Well, you said that. I remember one time you were here, and we're here with the brand new Odyssey Pro Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion Andre Dekker, who will be in action coming up here April 12th for the 20-year anniversary Morecambe's War on the Shore from Odyssey Pro Wrestling. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice, figuratively and literally always. I remember you said here once on Sportswire that from your vantage point, Andre Dekker, that RPD was this big dumb block, and all he cared about was just fighting and beating people up, and that he never thought with his head. I remember you specifically said once on here that RPD never thought with his head.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. He thinks with his heart and his feelings. That's it. He doesn't think, he feels. And you know what? I'll give it to him. It's something that's brought him through rough times, and it's something that helps him when it's stacked against him. But putting your career on the line when, you know what, Rick has him here. Rick has him here because of that, and because he's heart on his sleeve all the time. Rick has just manipulated situations around him.
But Rick also
manipulated. Rick could get rid of him.
Yeah, but Rick made points about RPD where maybe we second-guessed RPD in the fans, and we second-guessed RPD doing it for these reasons, and really he was doing it for himself.
Rick says that, and
he does.
I don't believe that. One thing. Look, RPD is cheesy. He's pandering. He's annoying, but he's not a liar. Like, I'll give him that. He's not a liar. He's not a coward, and he can go. But yeah. Rick has him here. Rick has manipulated this situation.
Rick, and you know this, but Rick has basically taught RPD a lot of what he knows. You know, where would RPD in his career be without Rick? So, yeah, Rick right now, it's like teacher versus student. Right now, Rick's the teacher, RPD's the student.
Put it this way, Rick loses a retirement match, and somehow a year later is still around and talked RPD into putting his career on the line.
And on top of that, he's basically...
anyone else is falling for that? No.
It gets even better, champ. You could even make a case in a way that Rick's responsible for Ethan Edwards' demise, where Ethan Edwards, a man you have plenty of history with, is now no longer general manager, but is now an in-ring competitor for at least a year.
Exactly. So, look, I have no love for Rick. I have no love for RPD. To be honest, I hope they beat each other senseless. I really do. That's all I care. The winner is me and the fans if they beat each other senseless, and that's all. I don't have a dog in the fight with that. Rick's got his contract, and I need to watch out for him. I understand that, but with me, I'm not RPD. I'm not gonna get emotionally triggered by Rick's antics. I can see them a mile off. So for Rick to try anything like that with me, It's not going to work.
No.
Rick needs to understand he's dealing with someone else if he decides to come at me after the Craig match. He's dealing with someone else. He's dealing with someone completely different. I've not let Rick close to me. RPD let Rick close to him. The dumbest.
Yeah,
one
they
of the
had their
things
relationship. Listen, they were here together at the very beginning of Odyssey forming. See, it's different when I hear other podcasts talk about Odyssey and they talk about this, and that. I'm the guy that saw Odyssey born in day one. You know, you could say that I'm the guy that was there in the hospital when Odyssey was coming out of the womb. I saw Rick and RPD literally here. They were here together before you came here. They were here together talking about this concept, talking about this idea. Ethan came here. Never forget, Ethan comes here late spring 2021, this whole idea, and it all comes around. And this is why this is what they are going through. It's more than just a match. It's personal because of the 4-year history of the back and forths. You know, these guys, like you said, it wasn't just a wrestling match. These guys rode together. They trained together. They traveled all over the country together, promotion after promotion. They were born ready. In many ways, they were almost like our country's version of the Mega Powers. Literally, that's what it was. But what happened with the Mega Powers? Well, they broke up because what happened? Ego. Ego drove and divided the group, divided the team. And I think the same thing has happened here with Born Ready between RPD and Rick. It was only a matter of time. And now it's come to a head that now RPD's career is on the line. And, you know, Rick's gotten the upper hand from him. But if you do want to go buy a ticket for Odyssey, I have to mention, you want to go to Alhambra Live, you can do that here. And here's how you buy a ticket. You go to see War on the Shore 25. You go to odysseyprowrestling.co.uk/shop. This year, we're going to celebrate 20 years of War on the Shore, Morecambe's biggest show of the year. For us here in America, it's their version of WrestleMania. Tickets are available for what is going to be a special evening in one of the UK's greatest wrestling towns. Almost in a way, kind of like New York City. Almost when you think about Morecambe and the history that Morecambe has, it's almost to me like some of the neighborhoods that I grew up in proudly. And ticket update, we only have 10 seats remaining for the front row VIP. That's it. 10 more. Second row VIP, just 50 remaining. General admission is still available. You want to go to Odyssey Pro Wrestling on Instagram, Facebook, Patreon, YouTube, Odyssey Pro Wrestling UK, X at OPW_UK. The doors are going to open here at 5 o'clock. VIP 5:30, first bell time 6:30. I promise you we're going to be talking a lot about this here over the next several weeks. You have to go out there and support Odyssey Pro Wrestling. It's real here in Morecambe. We are here, and it's really real because we've got the now undeniable Odyssey Pro Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion for a little while longer, the one and only Mr. Andre Dekker. Plus, in a few minutes, I'm going to give him something here. So let me get to some more comments. Take this off the screen. Bring the champ back up. Hello to Barry. Yes. I'm happy for Dekker. He changed his tune over the last year or so after I systematically took his group apart. But on a serious note, I have always loved the Odyssey fans, and I'm impressed. Okay, fair. Mr. OK is here. How you doing, Mr. OK? We're here. Dekker has rightfully earned their respect in the fans. That earns my respect. I'm looking forward to seeing how this title reign of his goes. Good luck. I genuinely mean that. So that's, some kind words there. Rather born ready like kind words. And hello. And we put the poster up there. And hello there. Okay, so you know what? I have something for you because it's kind of long overdue. And especially now as we get ready for a few final things. You're a very busy man. I know you want to go party and go have more of that premium bottle, that wine. I know your deal. I've had you on here enough to know you like a book at least. But I do want to give you something. You have no idea what you're going to get. You've definitely earned it. You're going to probably say, why didn't I get this earlier? But you haven't been here in almost 2 years because you are the newest member of the Sportzwire Radio Hall of Fame. You joined RPD and Rick. And not only are you a world champion, but you are officially now a Hall of Famer. You have my John Hancock, my signature, my logo. I will give you the physical copy when we're off the air. And I thought, what better way to bring you back? You're the world champion. You're on top. and to put you as the newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. Congratulations, champ.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think I don't know, maybe 104 people earlier would have been.
Savio Vega's in the Hall of Fame. To be fair, you're in the Hall of Fame to Savio Vega.
You know. Okay, well, maybe Savio Vega than me.
I got you. You would be Vega, you, and then Allmark. Because Allmark's in there too.
Oh no, I'll put Allmark of Savio, Allmark, me.
You can say yourself. Allmark will be back on soon. Actually, I spoke to Allmark not long ago, but he's doing well. But I'm doing better because you're here. And it's great to be with you. I ask this question to people all the time, and I know you're focused on April 12th. But what are your goals as Odyssey Pro Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion?
My goal is to hold on to the title. My goal is to keep it. And to do with the Morecambe Wrestling Championship what needs to be done. It needs to be defended with honor. It needs to be there's a big shoes to fill when it comes to being the champion, to holding this title and being the champion of this town. And maybe some other promotions in the Northwest might scoff at that, but it really, really matters. The fans who come to those shows are the fans who've come to Morecambe Wrestling for over 20 years.
You have fans that have been coming since 2005.
Yeah, 2005. Exactly. For the first War in the Shore. And they have seen some great champions. And so they are massive shoes to fill for me. There's people who've trained me who've held this title. There's people who I've watched in the stands who have defended this title. There's people who I've trained with who have held this championship. So and every single one of them has done it in a way that the fans really, really cared and really connected with. Whether it's they hated them, whether it is they loved them. They garnered interest.
Right.
They were taking the reins of the ship and they steered it in the right direction. Now I have that.
Use the steer line. Get it? War on the Shore steering.
Exactly. I'm at the helm now, so it's something. It's something that I really, really take seriously.
Sure.
And yes, was I ready for it? I'd say yeah. A lot of people would say they didn't see it coming, but deep down, and I mentioned it in promos beforehand. This is something that was my next goal. I was there. I was ready.
I asked you that question years ago. I would always ask you, what's next? You always said gold. You always want, I asked, you said you hated the same question.
And I meant it every single time.
I know you did. I know you did. You always said, I wanted gold. I wanted you. You said you wanted to be a champion. I mean, you said in the past, you were one of the original guys that always said, I did it for the gold. I did it for the bottle to go out. I mean, that's who you were. You were somebody that wasn't here just to be on the card. You wanted to be the whole show. And well, guess what? You got it. You are now the whole show.
Exactly. And then the scary thing is it's that what now? That what now is to prove to everyone that I deserve to be here.
Well, you have to go now.
I know that.
But you have to go from being the chaser and the guy that's now being chased, but also, you won this title, some would say is this cloud of uncertainty because you mentioned Will Carter. And Will Carter, again, for reasons that are unfortunate, had to drop the title, and you win it here in a triple threat match. You were supposed to have been a number one contenders match. So there's going to be people now that'll say, oh, well, he now has to prove it because of the way he won the title. So you've got that still to go out and prove those people. And guess what? You're doing this, not just some regular rinky-dink show where a couple of people are showing up. You're going to have a packed crowd. It's going to be the week before WrestleMania around the world. It's the biggest show Morecambe has to offer, maybe the biggest show in Morecambe history. And you're the main event. So you got so much pressure right now, and you're going to have to be able to keep it all in.
People can say that, but look who I beat. So I beat someone who's making their name who's made their name for themselves in multiple places around the Northwest and further afield in the UK. One of the best young wrestlers going, Teddy Ray, who
absolutely
has an upside bigger than anyone I can think of, in my opinion.
No question.
And Craig Collins, who, again, a guy who one-on-one is a formidable beast, let alone with the unpredictability of a three-way. So it's, people can say I didn't earn it, but if you win that match, you've earned it. Like I was feeling every single bit of that match. I took 3 German suplexes and then a frog splash from Craig Collins. He's like a 250, 260.
I know Craig Collins. I've watched him in the ring, and I've talked about him plenty over the years.
You know,
sure.
I managed to bounce back from that. So anyone who says that doesn't really know what they're on about. And I will prove it every single Odyssey show.
Well, I'm very excited because April 12th is right around the corner. It's 2 months from Wednesday, and we're going to be having some coverage here from Odyssey Pro Wrestling. We're very excited to have done that. Rick came back for the first time in a few years. RPD was back for the first time in a year. You're back for the first time in 2 years. It's great to be back with the people that were here at the beginnings, and it's great to see a front row seat. Odyssey's growth. This growth of this platform here, to have, some great moments, you being on top. And I know you're a busy man. I know you have to get ready for what you want to do, is enjoy the rest of the evening, not be here. We appreciate your time. But do you have any final words for, if it is Craig Collins, do you have any final words for him?
There's nothing that hasn't already been said. Craig always asks us if you're ready for war. And I am ready for war with Craig Collins. I know what you're about. I don't think you're ready for me.
Okay. Well, you know what? We're going to find out. I'll tell you what. We are going to most certainly find out. If you want to follow Mr. Dekker here, he is on Instagram. Check him out. Give him a follow. And also check out Odyssey Pro Wrestling on YouTube. We'll put that up here one more time. And also, if you're here, hit the like button for us. Give us a sub. And want to give a shout out to Odyssey, everybody at Odyssey that's been with us here for all these years. And it's been a great journey. And I'm looking forward to seeing what's next. Champ, I want to give you the floor, give you some closing thoughts. Anything else you'd like to plug, share, or say? I pass the baton to you and take it away.
Yeah, so follow me on Instagram. Instagram and Facebook are normally the ones I'm doing. I do have a TikTok now, so
TikTok. I'm on TikTok now.
I'm becoming young. I'm down with the youngins and that now, so I am on TikTok. So I'm not sure what it is because I've only recently.
Well, TikTok, it's like basically you take, what I do is I take a reel of mine and I'll
at Dekker Wrestling, Dekker Wrestling on.
I'll follow you when we're off the air, so you get another follow.
There we go. So yeah, I'm on the TikTok now. So follow the socials. I post for some post clips and follow Odyssey Pro Wrestling. If you're in the Morecambe area, make sure you get your tickets. 20th anniversary of War on the Shore. It's going to be a hell of a show. Make sure you're there because you don't want to miss it. Absolutely. Could not agree more on that. And Odyssey, it's just, as I say in Morecambe, it just hits different. I've met Reynaldo in person. I've met Sheriff Steele, a man that, very well. And we would always talk. And the 2 times I met them when they came to New York, is that it's real here in Morecambe. And that was the conclusion. In Morecambe, it's so different. That's why you've got to support Odyssey Pro Wrestling. You have to follow them. Trust me. It's just, wrestling's different there. The fans are different. The relationship that they have, it's just, they're so loyal, devoted. Vicky, Mother Sue, Louise, and just a great list of people. They're all there. Everyone knows them by face. And everybody can't forget about the Morecambe raffle. But Zilla could win that if she was there. But until then, this, ladies and gentlemen, is the brand new Odyssey Pro Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion. I was so excited to have him. My mic USB broke. But we parceled through, as we always do. And that is the undeniable Andre Dekker. He's unforgettable, but he's now undeniably the Odyssey Pro Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion. And he's going to drink the rest of his bottle here in a minute or two, but he'll be in action coming up here April 12th, the 20-year War on the Shore anniversary show here in Morecambe.
and he'll be defending that Odyssey Pro Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship. Will it be against Craig Collins? Well, we'll have to find out, but my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice figuratively and literally where all wrestling matters. If you're here on Sportswire Radio, I will be back here at 10 o'clock Eastern Time with Dante O'Cara. Dante will be back here, but until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening of you all on the number one global radio station that is Sportswire Radio, where all wrestling matters. And follow Odyssey Pro Wrestling, like this interview, share it, hit the sub button for us. I'll see everybody later, and thank you and enjoy.